With the dust settling from the Tuesday Night War that was AEW versus NXT. And this past week, 2 hours plus of each programming as both programs went over. NXT ended up around 10:08 Eastern time, so they went over. And then AEW finished around 10:15 Eastern time. So those of us who were switching channels, those of us who were watching both programs, we could watch Edge get the victory over Luchasaurus without any competition. So AEW went competition-less. And the reason I bring up those times, because I don't think that they were just coincidental. I think that was part of this whole nonsense, I'm going to call it nonsense, of the Tuesday Night War. Because if you remember the Monday Night Wars, the back in the day, Eric Bischoff talking about how he wanted to go on at 7:57 instead of at 8 o'clock because those 3 minutes were vital. And that was, I think, what birthed Monday Night Raw, ending at 11:05, getting that little runoff after 11 o'clock, which they don't do anymore. But all of that kind of tactics were part of this Tuesday Night War, which was clear that it was indeed a competition. There's no doubt about it. But I will say one thing. Here's who won the war in regards to a few things, right? And this is really who really won the war, because the stats are this, right? NXT got about 600,000 AEW got about 600,000 views. NXT about 900,000 views. Yeah. But before I give my opinion, essentially, who won this war, what program was better, Brandon, I'm going to ask you, who won the war?
Oh, it was NXT. And I do want to go back really quick to last week's show. When I said AEW, I did not know that The Undertaker was going to be at NXT the following week, so this week. So if I would have known that knowledge, I obviously would have gone under NXT because of the Undertaker factor, which he did show up, which was great. And actually, the real winner is the wrestling fans. I mean, the wrestling fans got a great night of television. I thought both shows had some great moments. Edge obviously on AEW, John Cena, Undertaker on NXT. It was a jam-packed show. I thought they both did really well, and I did find it pretty funny that in the beginning of AEW, Christian said, "I'm bringing you 30 minutes plus of commercial free," and obviously NXT did the same thing. So I thought that was interesting that they both used that ploy of, hey, we're not going to have any commercials for 30 minutes. So they both did the exact same thing. You mentioned they both went over on time. I do kind of miss those days, going to harken back to Raw back in the day where they'd end at 11:05. That stuff was always cool. But the wrestling fans as a whole won. That's what it was. But if I had to pick one over the other, NXT definitely was the winner. I thoroughly enjoyed NXT. I'm actually going to probably go back and watch some more NXT this coming week because there are some superstars that I haven't, I got to see that I don't always see all the time. And, I thought it was a good show. I thought they executed it well. And then AEW, they did a good job as well. So, I mean, there's no real losers here, in my opinion. I think the wrestling fans won. I saw the ratings. I think it was 921 to 609, I think was the exact numbers. And here's the thing. I look at it like this. You had over 1.5 million people watching. That's cool. That's 1.5 million people watching something that we are very passionate about. That's the win all. That's a win across the board. So I thought it was a good night. I got to get your thoughts because I thoroughly enjoyed everything.
Let me ask you this question, Brandon. You're in your driveway and you're hosting a slam dunk competition. And in this slam dunk competition that you're doing in your driveway, right? You welcome all comers. I mean, you don't even necessarily welcome all comers, but you made it clear that you'll go against anybody. LeBron James hears that, shows up at your house, and plays you in a slam dunk competition. He thoroughly dominates you in the slam dunk competition. But at the end of the day, who won?
I would say, if I was a LeBron fan, which obviously I'm not, but to meet somebody that's one of the greatest basketball players of all time in many minds, including myself, I think I'd be the winner because it's okay, I got dunked. It's I got dunked on by LeBron James. To me, I wouldn't care about that because I think everybody's a winner. LeBron wins the actual slam dunk contest because he's LeBron freaking James. Obviously he's one of the best players to ever play the game. And me, you get to experience LeBron James in person in that scenario live and living color, so to speak, and it's a lot of fun. So yes, I say winner.
if you know where I'm going with this, I'm going to say this much. AEW was moved to Tuesday nights first. They moved to Tuesday nights because of both, I think, hockey starting its season on
Baseball.
TNT and baseball. I think it was a little bit of both because so they're normally right on Dynamite's currently on TBS, right? Baseball was on TBS, right? They could move to TNT, but TNT had hockey. So instead of just switching channels, they had to straight up switch nights because both TNT and TBS were busy on Wednesday. So they moved to Tuesday nights, right? And I get it, NXT is always on Tuesday, right? But they moved to Tuesday nights, right? And probably not so much their decision, but the networks. So they moved to Tuesday nights and frankly put on, or at least advertise a show that I think AEW was going to normally put on, right? I understand it was Title Tuesday, but AEW's always got some sort of gimmick for their pay-per-views, whether it's or their TV shows, Fighter Fest, Battle of the Belts, all this kind of, fallout of the pay-per-view. They kind of put some sort of gimmicks on a lot of their TV shows. So them doing that was not out of the blue, right? Thanksgiving, Dynamite, Beach Blast, etc. So them doing the Title Tuesday thing wasn't, a direct shot at anybody. It was just, hey, we're on Tuesday. Hey, we'll make it Title Tuesday. Why not? Right? WWE could have put on NXT like they normally do and could have just been WWE like they normally are. But WWE acknowledged that AEW was going to go against NXT and probably beat them. Who cares, right? They beat them. They clearly beat them in attendance that night because AEW, regardless of how much attendance they get, is in front of a real live arena while NXT is in front of the Performance Center controlled crowd, right? So you could already just forego, hey, they're going to beat us in attendance. That's how this is. But in the long run, we're the winner. And most importantly, this is our developmental. Who cares? Back to Wednesdays next week. We didn't put on a crazy show every week when we went against them, right? We just put on our show. They put on their show. We have bigger fish to fry. We have things like WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. No big loss, right? But WWE didn't do that. They pull out John Cena. They pull out Cody Rhodes. They pull out Asuka, right? They pull out Paul Heyman. And then the topping of all of it, they pull out The Undertaker, right?
I know.
You got WWE to call up The Undertaker and bring him out on your television show. I'm sorry, but if I'm running a local independent wrestling show and that makes WWE fearful enough that they don't want to lose even an eyeball, so they pull out The Undertaker, I mean, you won. You cost WWE some money. Sure, they won in the war. Sure, they got more people. But the money that it costs WWE to put that show on, and frankly, they're not going to go bankrupt clearly with their TKO endeavor. It's not even their company anymore, right? But you got them to spend money. You got them to exert effort. You got them to essentially publicly acknowledge you. Triple H is on so many occasions, whenever he's acknowledged AEW, he's never mentioned it by name. He's always just referred to it as the minor leagues and referred to his company as the big time and stuff like that. But to now fully and publicly acknowledge the existence of AEW and to essentially be somewhat scared that you were going to lose just even 1 week of a television audience to AEW. I think AEW won in that regard. And I got to ask your comments here and your opinion on Tony Khan, because WWE, while they acknowledged it in the product, right, they didn't acknowledge it in the Twitter wars, if you will. I think somebody out there put that WWE in pre-reports, said something before the show went on the air that AEW was going to see why WWE is WWE. But Tony Khan publicly put some stuff on Twitter, right? And one of the things he most recently put on Twitter as a recording is post the demo. And he stated that congratulations, right, to AEW, right? Because what they did is, even though they got 600,000, where they consider a victory is the fact that because of them, John Cena and The Undertaker were on a show together for the first time ever that drew less than 1 million people. What do you make of those comments?
That doesn't bother me. It's Tony Khan just doing what he does. To me, I could care less. To me, it's all about the wrestling fans at the end of the day. Like, I'm so sick of the whole, you got to be on one side or the other. Like, I see social media and it's a cesspool of people that like oh, somebody talks about AEW having a great show, and then WWE fans come out and say, well, it's not WWE, and then WWE has a good show, and then AEW is like, well, it's not AEW. I just can't it's so petty in my opinion. Like, I think it's just annoying. So for me, I think it's the winner is the wrestling fans, because if you want to look at it that way, where AEW won, that's fine. Like, obviously I respect your opinion, but for me, I think the wrestling fans again won. And here's the other thing. WWE also is, I would say WWE also won because they got to bring in The Undertaker. They got to bring in John Cena. They got to bring in all these names. By the way, I bet you the majority of them were already still getting paid anyways. I'd be very surprised if Undertaker wasn't still on the payroll. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they brought him in. It's not like they brought him in off the side, like off the street, like, oh, hey, we're gonna add some new payroll. Like, he's probably got a contract for life. Honestly, that's not disclosed to the public. Cody Rhodes is under contract. Asuka's under contract. John Cena I'm sure he has a contract in place where he's already been doing stuff for the last month. So for me, I don't think it's any more money that they were already spending, really. So to me, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And sure, WWE didn't break $1 million with John Cena or Undertaker on the same show, but who cares? Because you got 900,000 people to sit there and watch, Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov. You got to see all these, just to name a few, where you got 900, you got more people to watch those people where they're like, oh, this guy's interesting. Like, I bet you there's people out there that watched this past week just because they heard Cody Rhodes was on, or John Cena or Taker was on, and they're like, oh, cool, Cody Rhodes comes out, and they had this whole thing with Ilya Dragunov, and somebody's like, I bet you enough people are like, man, I kind of like this Dragunov guy. I might start watching because this guy's pretty interesting. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are going to start watching because of it. Is it going to show up in the numbers where they're going to break $1 million next week? No, but I feel like it's going to do enough where the net gain is going to be much more than you think it is, because a guy like Carmelo Hayes, a guy like, and I even forgot, Braun Breaker, how can you forget him? And then you have Roxanne Perez, who faced Asuka. To me, I feel like I feel like Tony Khan is just, he's grasping for the straws. Like, he reminds me of, a particular dirt sheet writer that I won't mention. Like, anytime WWE and AEW get compared as, or ratings head to head, and like, say WWE wins, but then you'll see this particular dirt sheet writer, whoa, the 18 to, he'll like it's like almost he makes up a demographic where like, oh my God, they might have gotten WWE by a little bit. Like, at the end of the day, who cares? If you're all making money, who gives a crap? And I think it's just good for the wrestling fans. So for me, I think nobody lost. I can't tell you a loser. The fans as a whole are the real winners because they got to see two good shows. And for me, I got to watch a little bit of both and then go back later and watch more and still watch entertaining stuff that I got to watch up until this afternoon because there was so much to catch up on because it was just really entertaining.
As for Tony Khan, if you were Tony Khan, I kind of sympathize with him a little bit because, again, he's not sympathize, but I guess understand. He's a fan. I understand WWE is a big business. They're fans, but they're more professional about it. Tony Khan, whether you like it or not, I feel like he kind of resembles something similar to me in the sense of if I owned a wrestling company, right? I'm going to be a fan of the company. I'm going to be enthusiastic about it. I'm going to be defensive about it. There's been lots of things before.
He whines though. He whines too much. He whines when the littlest things. He gets so defensive when like WWE just kind of like, it's almost like WWE when somebody attacks them. It's like they swat him like a fly, like whatever. Like they just brush it off. Tony Khan, to me, I love what he's doing because obviously, he brought a different company in. He's put a bunch of people to work that maybe we wouldn't see on TV all the time. He's employing a bunch of people, which I think all of those things are great. But at the same time, I think he whines way too much. I just think he comes off as kind of like almost like a petulant child where, a lot of people will give him a hard time because they're like, oh, he's just a billionaire's son, kind of a thing. Like to me, like, I like what Tony Khan's doing, but sometimes I feel like he comes off a little bit too whiny. So like Tony, sometimes you just got to not hit send when you're on X or any social media platform. Just leave it be. WWE's not even acknowledge you half the time. Yeah, why don't y'all do your thing? You do your thing over here, and everybody wins. The wrestling fans, more importantly, win, because at the end of the day, you're trying to make sure that the wrestling business doesn't go anywhere. So when you get 1.5 million people to watch a show on a random Tuesday night, hell yeah, good for the business.
Good for the business indeed, because again, obviously NXT won the war in the ratings, but AEW, I would take it all day. If you would tell me that I own a wrestling company and I can get 600,000 people to watch it, period, ever, that'd be awesome. But then you add on, I'm going to get 600,000 people to watch it literally at the same exact time that WWE is putting out a show. Forget The Undertaker. Putting out a show. Great. Oh, and also they're putting out a show with The Undertaker, John Cena, and all these. Like, I think, to be honest with you, I mean, I'm more of a WWE fan than I am an AEW fan, just because, history and lineage, and, it's like in the NFL versus like the XFL, something like that. It's what you're accustomed to. You like the brand of WWE. I like WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble, all those things. I like the presentation that WWE gives me. I'm just used to it. I do like AEW, but I mean, yes, I'm more of a WWE fan, but I will say that AEW essentially won the night just because they made it a night, right? They exist. That's enough right there. And I will say, to NXT's side, and just quickly, Cody Rhodes, personally, his announcements, a little underwhelming. It's cool. They're going to have the men's breakout tournament and the return of the Dusty Rhodes Classic with the tag teams. Were we expecting more of a major announcement there, or was it just me?
No, it was you. It was just you. To me, like that stuff, I'm glad they waited to make those announcements for a night where the rumors were Undertaker was going to be there. Obviously, John Cena, Paul Heyman, Asuka. I think it was the perfect night to do it because you're going to get more. You're going to expect to get more eyeballs, which you did, and you're getting more eyeballs on people that for this for the Dusty Rhodes Cup, and then also the NXT the arrivals type matches where you're going to get some fresh blood. Why not present that in front of probably your biggest audience of the year, or at least going for the most part, I would say for the year in general, because you're not going to get the same numbers each week. I don't think NXT's numbers aren't usually there, so you get it when you feel like you're going to get the biggest crowd. I feel like you have to announce things like that, so then you take a chance, you get more eyeballs on the product, and then maybe you'll find some more people that are like, oh, I've never seen this person before. I'm gonna watch. They watch one match of whoever it is, whether it's the tag team or it's the NXT, like the arrival type stuff. I think you're gonna get people that are gonna get drawn in more. So at the end of the day, it's all about growing the brand, and I think they're doing the right thing by doing that.